It's Valley Focus, and I'm Kayla Mortellaro, your guide for the program as we turn our attention here to Elizabeth Walton, Executive Director of American Lung Association in Arizona, and Jerry McGuire, President with Purify. Thank you both very much for the time and looking forward to the conversation ahead.
Thanks for having us.
Well, Elizabeth, let's get things started here with you and talk about air quality. What sorts of emissions, what sorts of events can impact air quality?
So there's a lot that can impact air quality, both outdoor and indoor. We do tend to talk more about outdoor air quality because we have more measurements, obviously, that go with that. Each April, we put out our State of the Air report. We're actually coming up on our 25th anniversary of this report this coming April. And what that report does is we take a look county by county across the country to see what air quality rates are. We measure high ozone days, we measure particle pollution, both daily and year-round, and that really gives us a good sense of what is the air quality in our community.
And so along those lines here, you had mentioned indoor and outdoor air quality. So what's the difference and what should people know about the difference?
So our outdoor air quality, like I said, obviously comes from those ozone high days, the particle pollutions, which, a kind of good way to think about the difference between those two things is when you see that smog in the air, that's ozone. When you see kind of soot, that's the particle pollution. And most of the time when we're talking particle pollution, it's not something that you can see. These particles are itty bitty, and they are not, available to our naked eye. And so obviously, all of that air quality that's outside is coming inside, into your homes, into your businesses. But there's other things that you need to factor in when you're talking about indoor. If you have pets, they're shedding and the dander from the pets that creates allergens. If people smoke indoors, which we hope they don't smoke at all, obviously, but things like that add then to the indoor air quality. And then so you factor in, those things with those outdoor air quality issues that are coming in, and also looking at the fact that since the pandemic, we're spending a lot more time inside our homes. I don't want to say necessarily more time indoors, but probably more time indoors at home, where we actually have the ability to try to make a difference in our indoor air quality.
It seems obvious to note that air quality impacts breathing, but I'm hoping that you can provide a more nuanced answer as to why that is and what sorts of harmful impacts does it have on us with maybe us not even realizing it.
So that's just it. I think most people don't realize it. A lot of the time we talk about air quality and people sort of in their heads think environmental, climate change. They don't think about health impacts. And air quality plays a huge impact on our lung health. All of those little particulates that you're breathing in, those are affecting you internally. They are affecting your lungs. And one of the things we always kind of try to use as an analogy, specifically when we're talking about high ozone days, is breathing in that ozone. It's almost like a sunburn on your lungs, right? So we know about UV rays and what that does to your skin. Ozone has that same type of effect on our lungs. And we're talking about people that are suffering from lung diseases already, people who might have COPD or asthma or things like that. The air quality is really going to put them at much higher risk for increased breathing problems, asthma exacerbations. So our air quality really is something, especially here in the Valley, that we need to be taking into account on a day-to-day basis.
Elizabeth Walton, Executive Director with the American Lung Association here in Arizona, and Jerry McGuire, President with Purify, right here on Valley Focus. And Elizabeth, you had talked a little bit about the differences between indoor and outdoor air quality and that people may be spending more time in their homes. So, Jerry, let's bring you into the conversation here and talk about Purify. What is it? What is it trying to accomplish? And how does it help the indoor air quality?
Yeah, great question, Kayla. And again, good to be here to talk about this critical topic. Purify is really a couple things. Purify is a whole home air purification technology that proves its performance every 90 seconds in people's homes, and it automates air quality much like how you automate your temperature in your home with a thermostat. We have sensors deployed inside of people's homes so that you can respond to air quality events and the system takes care of it on your behalf. But beyond that, Purify is also an experience. We have a new showroom and store here in Scottsdale at the Promenade where people can come in and go through an education center so that they can better understand some of the things that Elizabeth was addressing and then help be educated on how can I actually solve these problems.
So what sort of places is Purify being used in currently, and what sort of results are you seeing?
Yeah, all kinds of different applications. I mean, residential homes, multi-use, commercial facilities, schools, medical office buildings, industrial facilities, food and beverage facilities, all kinds. And actually, most recently, maritime vessels. And, you know, as you can imagine, given the news that we saw over the past 3 years about traveling on ships, how important it is to have air purification inside of those facilities because the air is being recirculated with such a high concentration of people. And across, you know, the gamut, we see consistent particle reductions of key aspects of the particle spectrum, which, you know, Elizabeth kind of mentioned, PM1, PM2.5. It's a little bit technical jargon, but it does show up in your weather app. And those are the most dangerous particles to our health. They're the ones that get into our lungs, they get into our bloodstream. And according to people like the EPA and the World Health Organization, they affect not only disease transmission, but they affect our cardiovascular health, certainly our lung health, and our cognition and our general well-being. And we see proven results and reductions across all of those applications every day.
So let's say you're in, you know, a 3-bedroom house, you're a 2-parent household, 2 kids and a dog. What sort of typical indoor air quality is that like, and what could Purify do to enhance that indoor air quality?
Yeah, good question. And for listeners, I think, you know, one way to understand this a little more is to pull up the weather app on their phone. And on the weather app on your phone, if you scroll down, you know, kind of towards the middle or the bottom, there is the outdoor weather data, and it will tell you what your air quality index is. And that air quality index is based on the PM 2.5, the PM 10, the ozone, certain particle sizes, and that ozone that Elizabeth mentioned. And what we typically see inside of that, you know, 2,000 square foot suburb home is, you know, PM 2.5 can be 25 to 50, AQI could be 50 to 100. We've seen it as high as 300 inside of people's home, which is severe. 50 to 100 would be moderate. But more than that, as we count particles, our sensor also goes beyond that, and it counts how many particles per cubic centimeter are in the air. Frequently, we see that number being around 600. Well, if you have 600 particles per cubic centimeter in that 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, and you're breathing 3,000 gallons of air every day, the mass between those cubic centimeters, the gallons per air you're breathing into your body and lung stream, or your body and bloodstream, about 6 billion particles per day.
Elizabeth Walton, Executive Director of American Lung Association here in Arizona, Jerry Maguire, President with Purify, right here on Valley Focus. And so, Elizabeth, let's bring this conversation back to you here. What is a message that you have to people that when sometimes we can't see something that is harmful to us, we don't understand its real impact? So what is your message about air pollution? What is your message about air quality? And what should we be aware of?
You know, I think it goes back to what Jerry said. It's really important for us to take these measures, look at your weather apps, see where the air quality is. You know, I can tell you from an overall year-round standpoint, in Maricopa County, we have the 5th worst ozone levels in the country. So we tend to take for granted, oh, it's beautiful and sunny outside, it's, you know, everything's fine. You really do have to take the initiative to really pay attention for your health and your family's health. I think that's a big takeaway. And then also just educating yourself about those links between environmental factors and your personal health. We have oodles and oodles of information. If you go to lung.org, you can search by different lung diseases. You can search for our State of the Air report and then narrow that down to Arizona and then look at your particular county. I think, it's very important. Like I said, our ozone is the 5th worst levels in the country. Our particle pollution, we are the 8th worst in the country. So, Phoenix has some definite challenges when it comes to air quality, and largely because of where we are situated. We're in a valley, so, a lot of, particularly that particle pollution, wafts in from other parts of the state or even other parts of the country. We've seen when there's a lot of wildfire activity going on, both in Arizona and on the West Coast, that those numbers skyrocket. And so, again, it's that awareness and realizing that maybe, there's not a wildfire going on here, but that doesn't mean that air isn't coming over and settling in the valley and affecting our health.
This question for you, Jerry, may not have any relevance, so you let me know. Elizabeth here is talking about the challenges that Arizona is facing, for air quality and what we're breathing in when we're on the outside. So what sort of benefits does it have for someone to have a system like Purify to enhance their indoor air quality, and maybe the drastic differences between the two if you're trying to optimize the air quality in your home?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I can support that question. The thing what happens is when you have that bad outdoor air quality, as Elizabeth mentioned earlier, that particle pollution, that ozone, it makes it into our homes. But what people don't realize is there's an accumulation effect inside of our homes, and there's a misunderstanding about how air filters and HVAC systems work. And so people think that if I just go to the big box store and I get the most expensive air filter and install that in my home, then my air quality problems are going to be solved because of, some rating on that air filter. Well, here's what happens in reality. That air filter restricts airflow more than the lower grade air filter, so to speak, and you could actually be removing less pollution. And the particles in your home accumulate because they're too small and too light to ever make it to that air filter in the first place. The air filter only sees a fraction of the pollution that you're exposed to every single day. So you have to have a technology that doesn't just try to suck the pollution up to a filter, but sends a solution to the source of the pollution inside of the room. And that's what Purify does. It sends active molecules into the occupied space that work like molecular sweepers that sweep up all that pollution and get it up to that air filter or out of the breathing zone so that your particle pollution is dramatically reduced and it doesn't just keep accumulating inside of your space.
Elizabeth Walton, Executive Director of the American Lung Association here in Arizona. Jerry Maguire, President with Purify, right here on Valley Focus. And so, Jerry, what's a great website for people to learn more about Purify? You had mentioned showrooms, et cetera, to get more education on indoor air quality and what Purify can do.
Yeah, visit purifystore.com. And on that site, you can find all kinds of education. You can also book an appointment to come into our education facility, have a walkthrough, see how particles work for yourself, see proven results of, Purify technology versus just a typical home environment. We have visuals, we have specialized lasers that demonstrate what is in the air. So you actually see for the first time all the invisible particles that you can never see without those specialized lasers. And then we contrast that versus what a Purify environment looks like, where there's hardly any particles, if any. But purifystore.com is the website.
And Elizabeth, what's a great website for people to become more educated on air pollution, indoor, outdoor air quality, and just kind of what the American Lung Association Arizona is trying to help educate people with?
Definitely, you can go to lung.org. If people are looking for specific air quality information, lung.org/SOTA for our State of the Air report. You can get, more detailed information there. But just going to our main lung.org page, and there's a search bar, so you can look up anything and everything related to lung health that you're interested in. And then we also have a few events throughout the year that we invite the community to come out to learn more about lung cancer, lung disease, air quality, all of these things. So we do have an event coming up on November 18th. It is our Lung Force Walk. So people can look up information for that at lungforce.org/Arizona.
And before I let you both go, what does this partnership between Purify and American Lung Association mean for each other, mean for the organization? So, Jerry, let's start with you there.
Yeah, for us, it's an opportunity to partner with someone who is on the front lines and mission aligned with us, because we preach and we share the impact on people's health that air pollution has, but we're one voice, and so to be able to partner with somebody who's advocating and educating every day across the state of Arizona on the same subject and with the same mission is critically important, because at the end of the day, we want outcomes for occupants, results for people. And if every chance we have an opportunity to educate with a partner like the Lung Association, it gives us, just another step forward in helping that mission.
And Elizabeth, same question to you. How has this partnership benefited the American Lung Association, and what does it mean for your organization?
I think Jerry really nailed that. It's mission alignment. Our mission is to save lives by preventing lung disease. And so we want to work with partners who are helping to actively do that. We get approached a lot across the country by companies who are working on indoor air quality. And oftentimes we are not able to work with them, because even though they are trying to do this really good, important work, a lot of the time the technology on the back end is producing ozone. And so it's sort of zeroing out the good effect. Because of the technology that Purify has, they are not producing ozone on the back end. They're the only indoor air quality product that I have ever seen that is able to do that. And so when they approached us and said, we have this new product, we're locally based, we're locally manufactured, we want to support the work that you're doing, it was just a perfect fit. And I think, like Jerry said, it's getting that message out there and having multiple voices sharing the important information about our lung health and our air quality, because no one can do it on their own. We really have to band together as a community.
Elizabeth and Jerry, this has been fantastic conversation. Before I let both of you go, one more time on each of your respective websites for more information. Jerry, Purify, what's the best website for you?
Yeah, everybody can visit purifystore.com. That's singular, and Purify is spelled with an I at the end, not a Y. So purifystore.com, and you can get more education there and also book a showing at the store here in Scottsdale.
And Elizabeth, what's a great website for people to learn more about the American Lung Association here in Arizona?
Just go to lung.org, and you can find all sorts of information about our air quality, about lung disease, about upcoming local events where people can get involved. So that's really the best place to start.
Elizabeth, Jerry, thank you both very much for the time, and you both have yourselves a great rest of the day.
Thank you so much, Kayla.
Thank you, Kayla. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Once again, Elizabeth Walton, Executive Director of the American Lung Association here in Arizona, and Jerry McGuire, President with Purify, as you have been listening right here to Valley Focus.